Good morning and welcome to day 4 of our Splunk's road trip to conf. We are here in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee on day 4. Brett, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. I slept in the bed last night, so spirits are high and loving Nashville right now. It is beautiful.
Yeah, we're taking a bit of a break here in Nashville for 2 days. So if you take a look at the Splunk dashboards, you can see that we are not moving too much today. Over past Brett is our friend Chris Burnham. Chris, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good this morning. Doing pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, so Chris drove up from Birmingham, Alabama.
Huntsville,
my apologies.
How far was
Huntsville,
that?
Alabama.
It's supposed to be about a 2-hour drive, but it took quite a bit longer today.
Oh, no, traffic?
And an accident.
Ooh.
Oh, no. Bummer. But if you can see, Chris showed up in his new toy that we're going to get to a little bit later. Not the scooters. Yes.
Those are our toys, yeah.
Not to steal away from his limelight here. But first, let's have a little bit of a recap of where we've been so far and where we're doing next. So, Brett, what have you been up to in your time off?
Yeah, so a couple things. We came from Charlotte yesterday, so we had a nice little 8-hour drive. Traffic was also really rough in the drive yesterday, and unfortunately there was an accident. But I spent some time playing with Splunk and building out a few new use cases and some dashboard panels. So the first one we did was an alert to show when our guest login gets locked out, so we can go in and fix that so anyone who's looking at the dashboards can be able to access it.
Yeah, that's been one of our problems so far, has been people logging in and our password may be just a little bit too complex for everybody.
If you're in Arlington, Virginia, stop putting in the wrong password, please.
So that means that you then created a source lookup to then see where people are logging in from?
Yeah, so we were able to go into the audit index and figure out a couple different actions and correlate the the locked action versus the password failed action. And depending on which one is the latest one, it would send an alert. And we integrated that with Slack because we don't check emails all the time on the road. So now we're getting a Slack notification whenever someone locks out the dashboard. Pretty excited about that.
Oh, that's incredible as well. Now you
Pretty
were
awesome.
Yeah, Brett has become our resident SPL expert.
Shout out to Tom West. He's really the brains behind this whole thing, but I've learned a lot doing this whole thing. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, Tom has been our saving grace on this trip so far. So thank you, Tom, if you're watching. Now, you have also done a little bit of some other tinkering as well with the dashboards as well, if I hear that correctly.
Yeah, so let me ask you both a question. We also were able to figure out which dashboard, because we have a series of dashboards, remember, people are viewing the most. So obviously, the overview dashboard, which is the default, is the one that everyone views the most. So we took that out. But after that, what do you think the next most viewed dashboard is?
Oh, man, there's so many to choose from. Let's see. We've got the Forza dashboard. Which I think would be a pretty exciting one to take a look at.
Yep.
Assuming we have time. We have the health dashboard, music.
RV comfort. We have the bronze bathroom, the journey dashboard.
I'm going to go with the health dashboard.
Why?
Because, I mean, that is one thing that I'm a little concerned about for our trip so far has been the limited amount of sleep and the general abuse that we have done to our bodies through eating gas station food so much and the long timeline. So, yeah, I'm going to go with health. Chris, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with the bathroom.
The
I
bathroom.
think that was the most used one.
Yeah, that's a scary one to think about too as well. Brett, what?
So both good choices, both wrong.
No.
And I actually thought bathroom as well, because who doesn't want to see what we're doing in the bathroom? Said everyone.
Apparently a lot of people do.
And who doesn't want to make sure that we're healthy, because most of our family are accessing the dashboards. It's actually RV
Mom.
comfort. Yeah, shout out mom. It's actually RV comfort, and so more
RV
people
comfort.
are. Yeah, I was surprised by that, but that's a really cool dashboard with a few integrations there where we're showing which road in America is the worst. We're using what 3 words, which we talked about on a different breakfast with the Beards, to get very granular into our precise location within a 3-meter by 3-meter box, and then there's temperature. And I will say, when we actually started building out the temperature dashboard, I was like, that's not interesting. The RV is going to be the same temperature everywhere. It's not. The back of the RV is a lot warmer than the front. So that's actually a really interesting panel. So that is the most common one: Spotify, bronze bathroom, and then health, are in that order.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about enhancements that we need to do as we go on throughout the road, and talking about Splunk creating actionable insights. Well, now that we have this information, we need to start to tinker with the windows and see how we can get proper airflow through and see if we can get that back bedroom temperature down.
Yeah, that's
see
a
if
good
we
idea.
can make that a bit more comfortable for us. I don't know how how good that will be since the engine's in the back. But we'll have to take that as a takeaway.
Another interesting overlay that you can do with that is also going to be like position of the sun in the sky, because you're going to get the radiation off the sun on the windows, and it's going to heat up some areas more than others.
That's a good point as well. So what direction are we facing, which we could incorporate from our GPS data source.
And then based on time, where is the sun relative to you?
That's next level Splunking right there. I like that.
Overlay it with the weather map that we have as well. Oh my gosh, look at it. Chris Burnham already blowing our minds.
Time to get to work.
It's good that he's here, man. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about conf so far. Looking forward. Chris, are you going to be out there this year?
I am. Yep, I'm going to be at conf this year. On the first night, I'll be there in the same area that you guys are going to be with the IoT RV here.
Perfect.
Over in the Splunk barbecue, the Splunk backyard area.
Yes.
Awesome.
And we've got some few surprises around that later in the show, don't we?
I think so.
Awesome. Now, we talked a little bit about Splunk Conf, some looking forwards from Corey as well. Brett, what are you looking forward to this year at Conf?
I think there's going to be some really cool announcements. Don't know what they are. I have a few ideas, but I think I'm excited to see what they're coming out with. What's the next generation of the Splunk innovation? I'm looking forward to the backyard soiree. I think that's going to be really cool. And I'm looking forward to some of the sessions. Corey has a really great session. He always does a great job. So I want to give a shout out to him. And if you are going to be at Conf, make sure you check out that session.
Now, we also have the search party coming up as well, which I believe is going to turn into a costume party this year.
Wow, I have so many ideas.
Yeah?
Well, not so many. Maybe like 5 or 6 or 20. Who knows, right?
Okay. Yeah, Chris, are you dressing up this year for the Splunk search party?
I don't know about for the search party, but if you guys noticed during our Data to Everything strike event, part of this shift has been a new branding scheme for Splunk.
Yes.
So I've been working with my boys over the summer. They've been asking me to dye their hair for them. And so one of the colors that I have really perfected is that super bright pink color, which you guys see in our logos now. So I will be bleaching and dyeing my beard bright pink.
Oh my gosh. That'll be absolutely incredible. I think Corey just signed up to do that as well with you.
I will not be doing that.
We'll be sure to get some photos with Chris at the search party. Now, are you doing that all week or just for the search party itself?
Oh, no, this is permanent. So until it fades out, it's going to be pink.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be the man with the pink beard by the RV for quite a bit of conf, yeah?
And after, too.
Yes, that'll be incredible. Incredible. Now, as we get to conf, we've got quite a bit of time to kind of tinker a bit and make some enhancements to the RV. Aside from what we've previously talked about, what do you think you want to take a stab at as we build this out?
I mean, I think, and you talked about this before, I really want to start incorporating video or some type of computer vision, and how do we get that into machine data into Splunk. I think that's a really cool use case. I think there's a few additional challenges that come into that around computational power in the RV. I think that's the cool thing. I want to do more with the Xbox stuff, see if we can do some more stuff with Forza as well.
Yeah.
But you have a really cool one that you were talking about that I think would be really fun.
Yeah, Chris, so we're going to take a little bit of steal some thunder off of the Tesla a little bit and see what we can build ourselves. Obviously, it's not going to be anywhere as cool, but we bought a Coral tensor processing unit. We're going to attach that to one of our edge devices and see if we can build some computer vision into it and see if we can start to identify.
Oh, most definitely.
Make some models there. Yeah. Love to hear if you have any ideas along the way too. Give us a shout out.
Yeah, I've got some of that I'm doing at home with my security video cameras, and there's some really cool use cases around image processing and image recognition. And Splunk is, an optimal platform for not ingesting the video itself, but all the metadata around that video. That's where you're going to get, that awesome correlation of taking, all that, putting it together, and then overlaying it with things that we talked about earlier, like, weather data and sun position and lots of other data sources depending on your type of use case that you want to go after.
Yeah,
absolutely. Possibilities are absolutely endless, and that's what we've been discovering is what data can we reuse as well. So not even having to try and to pull in new data sources, but just recycling what we have already and pulling more value out of that. Now, we do have a commercial, I believe. No, we do not. Never mind. Sure.
So this is brought to you by Kyle, Brett, and Corey.
Awesome. Well, we will jump right in. to our interview portion.
Nailed it.
We've had some technical difficulties on the road, so we've swapped over some streaming software. So we can we'll do a write-up later on that from lessons learned and see what we come up there. But this is our new day one of testing out our new streaming software, and I think we've been pretty happy so far. Have we, Corey?
Can I jump in and say something here?
Absolutely, please do.
So new software is called Wirecast. It's
Yes.
pretty great so far. Much easier to use, stable. Not open source, very much not free. I just got a text from my mom who's watching.
Yes.
And she said, hey, one of the guys is kind of quiet. Do you mind turning up his volume a little bit? So thanks, Mom. You both
Thanks,
got
Mom.
to shout out your mom. We're now good on the VOD audio. So thank you, Wirecast, for helping us, and Mom.
Shout out moms.
That's incredible. Well, I think it's time to jump in the elephant in the room, and let's get down and dirty on this Tesla behind us.
Awesome.
Now, Chris, that's been a pretty recent purchase for you, right?
It's been about 2 years now.
Oh wow,
So
has it been 2
yep,
years?
I've had a couple of years now.
Okay, yeah. Now, I understand that there's quite a bit of engineering behind this car, and that there's quite a few sensors in this, correct?
That is correct. There are lots and lots and lots of sensors in this thing.
Now, would you consider this an IoT device?
It is. It's very much an edge computing platform.
Okay.
It very much is. And the great thing there is it's doing all of the edge analytics, right? Which in the outside of the data center industry, we're really looking at organizations to start embracing that edge analytics.
Yes.
But then also being able to bring that data home as well, back to the core, and do the additional analytics and processing and the overlays with all of the other things that are going on.
Mm-hmm. And kind of, what are some examples that you've seen with that happening across the board? Is some of this analytics at the edge versus at the core? Are you guys seeing that quite a bit at Splunk?
Yeah, most in the transportation industry, most definitely.
Absolutely.
In rail, there's a lot of edge processing and analytics that's happening on the locomotives themselves, and then you have all of the that same data is brought back home and overlaid with additional data sources, and then aggregated together with the rest of all of the rail systems that are out there to really give businesses better insight into what is working, what isn't working, and then being able to figure out where are we going to steer our business next.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've got the analytics at the edge here, and then you're obviously going to be pulling that back into your home use case, I'm assuming. Do you have a Splunk setup at home?
I do. I have a rather elaborate Splunk setup at home.
Okay.
I have a lot of data sources coming in, the Tesla being one of them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's an unofficial API that I'm able to pull on it and capture that data, pull it into Splunk, and I'm grabbing it on 60-second intervals. So I've got a lot of data.
How much? How much are you ingesting just from the Tesla use case?
It's probably around, I'd say, 50 megs a day.
Wow.
Okay. That's
Wow.
pretty good.
Wow. And what kind of sensor data are you receiving off of this? So can we dive a bit deeper into what analytics you're getting off of the Tesla? I mean, I imagine there's speed, but there's probably so many other different use cases or ideas or measurements that we can pull off of that.
Let's start with what's not there.
Okay.
So Tesla is very well known for Tesla Vision, right?
Yes.
It's a camera-based platform, and what I don't have is streaming access to that camera data, right? I would love to be able to capture that, do some additional processing on it, and bring that in, but unfortunately today I don't have that access.
Yeah.
As far as what I do have, lots of climate data, positional data. I mean, even things as simple as what doors are opened or closed.
Oh, wow.
Whether the car is locked or unlocked, plugged in, and then lots of metadata around, well, where is it charging? How much is it charging? Is it charging efficiently or very poorly? And I'm also bringing in weather data and overlaying that with it to give me some interesting insights into like charging efficiency. When it's cold, the car doesn't charge nearly as well as it does when it's quite warm.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, do you have this tying in with the smart home as well? So any automation kicking on there, or what do you have coming into your smart home, and how are you tying it together there?
So for my smart home, I'm using a suite of software, primarily Home Assistant and Node-RED.
Yes.
Okay.
And Home Assistant has a native integration with Tesla already, which is awesome.
Oh, beautiful.
But I'm getting a much richer data set with the polling that I've built for the car. What's great between the two is that I can take the analytics within the car and all the things that I'm doing with that, and then use Home Assistant and Node-RED for the actionable side of it. So even with the integrations that I've built with Alexa, something as simple as start the car, and the climate control will go ahead and kick on and get the car comfortable so that when I'm ready to go.
We
Thanks,
just
Alexa.
heard her kicking off in the background. Always listening.
Which I'm assuming in Alabama, that's very critical for at least 6 or 7 months out of the year.
Like 11.
11 months.
It's way too
I was
hot or
being
way too
generous.
cold.
The month of winter. Yeah. Now, we just heard that beautiful voice kick off. I'm assuming she's in the car.
That wasn't mine.
That was the RVs.
Oh, RV, we have one in there?
I mean, we have enough devices.
We have to go find her somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So she's everywhere, and she's listening. Go listen to the AI Fear episode, and we're going to
Shout out AI Fear.
Excellent amendment. That's incredible. Now, so you've got climate data, weather data. Do you have any driving characteristics data that you can do?
So some of the things that I would love to have, I don't have like streaming access to. But again, I'm capturing data on 60-second intervals. So I've got like, besides relative car position, speed, all that stuff, I have power.
Yeah.
Is one of them. One of the interesting things that I try to do at home is guess who is driving the car, right? Is it me? Is it my wife? Or is it my daughter?
Oh.
And, I don't natively have an easy way to tell based on the data. So I'm using machine learning to help me categorize who's driving the car and which of us is driving. And then I've got like some simple alerts set up, like, is someone driving like an ass? And then send me an alert that, hey, my wife is out there just being wild.
In
Hopefully
ludicrous
she's
mode.
not listening now, yeah. So I imagine some of those characteristics would be harder takeoffs, harder braking, things of that nature?
Yep. Hard acceleration, power consumption, location also helps. Especially when I'm able to overlay that information with other things that I have. So we use Life 360,
Yes.
For family location sharing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I can help narrow down who is or isn't in the car based on what Life 360 gives me. So I can use that to help in the categorization of who's driving the car.
Oh, very cool. That is extremely exciting. Now, obviously the car is a huge data source for us. You're integrating it in with your smart home. What exactly do you have in your smart home that you're integrating as well, and what automations are you doing around that and feeding into Splunk?
Lots of automations. Some of the more interesting ones, I think, center around some of the image processing that you guys had talked about doing earlier. My boys and I are into mountain biking, and my older son has a tendency of leaving his bicycle outside.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and with the security cameras having view of everything outside, I can do image recognition so that if it's late in the evening and we've already come in the house and I spot that there's still a bike in the yard, I can have it send me an alert to say, hey, someone's bike is in the yard. Let's bring it in so that it doesn't get doesn't disappear during the night.
Yeah.
Also, for trash and recycling day, has the bin gone out to the street? Has the truck come by yet to pick it up?
Oh, wow. And what's interesting about that, too, is you're not having to go out and buy sensors for that necessarily. You're able to use the streaming video data off of that.
Exactly.
So now we're applying multiple use cases to one scenario of data.
Yep, and it's
Or
lots
one
of
source.
overlays, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that come along with the correlation of all of that data, and it's not just the image processing, but it's also going to be location awareness. Send me an alert if I'm home and the trash is not out.
Yes.
But if no one's home, there's no reason to bug everybody because no one can take the trash out.
Oh, very
or no one can bring the bike in. Or
That's cool.
send a text to my mother-in-law, and maybe she will go over there and bring the bicycles in.
Are you doing anything out of the box or like outside of just standard alerting to help do that? Because it seems like a lot of those alerts are more time sensitive. If you have to take the trash out or bring the bike in before a certain time. What are you using for alerts or anything on top of Splunk?
So I'm using Splunk Mobile for a lot of my alerting. Makes it very easy for me to get those alerts out since I've already got Splunk Mobile on my phone. And I have a SMS service that I use as well. So for some simple texting of things for people outside of my family.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Absolutely. Very cool. Now, we also hear that your dog is benefiting from a lot of this automation as well.
Yeah. So he sometimes will go out and may not scratch at the door, or we put him out and forgot that he was there.
Oh, no.
So even simple things like, hey, dog at back door, and it's been 5 minutes and no one's let him in.
Yeah.
I'll have a message pop up on the TV if it's on that, hey, the dog is outside at the door. He's waiting to come in.
Oh, that is extremely cool.
What kind of dog?
Golden Doodle.
Oh, yeah. Those are fun. Now, so we've got a lot of interesting use cases. Are you able, from the video data, and video data in itself is cool, are you streaming a lot of the metadata off of that then that you're building off with TensorFlow? Are you pulling those logs in? Is that how this is?
So I'm using TensorFlow and Facebox, both.
Okay.
So TensorFlow is great for image categorization, right? Is it a bike? Is it a dog? Is it a car? Is it a trash can? Is it a person?
Yeah.
And lots of other things as well. Like I get weird, there's a potted plant walking down the sidewalk. Like, some of that stuff just happens. But Facebox is great for facial recognition.
Yes.
And I'm able to run this at home, and I can do things like detect when someone known is home, and I can go ahead and disable the alarm or unlock the front door.
Yes.
Proactively, because I see that no one is home, and I get home not just by location but also by facial recognition, and then taking the metadata from those applications, bringing it in, overlaying it, and deciding, hey, I really am home. It's not just a fluke. It's not someone who kind of looks like me.
Yeah.
Because with facial recognition, it's funny how sometimes it can be rather challenging based on facial features. My son and I, even though he's almost 13, we commonly get miscategorized for the other.
Oh, wow. Now, for TensorFlow and what, Facebox?
Yep.
A lot of those machine learning algorithms are canned out of the box. You don't have to do much training.
Correct.
Did you do much training, or was a lot of those models just straight out of the box for you? Are you looking at getting them more accurate, or?
Well, I wasn't really building anything too custom because I put enough effort into it, and I do have this awesome day job at Splunk, and so with time being limited, I didn't build any custom models yet. As time permits, and I get the bug, I'll from time to time tinker with it, and that's one of the things that I have on my list is building some custom models, some more accurate models to do some image processing and some categorization.
Absolutely. It's amazing how powerful those tools are and how deep you can go with those, but also right out of the box how quickly you can grab value out of those and integrate them with platforms like Splunk and other log analytics.
Most definitely.
So what are some of the challenges that you're facing with maintaining this very broad multi-platform use case? You use Splunk, but you use all this other stuff on top of it. How is maintaining it, and what are some of the challenges you're facing?
Well, like for a home user, it's time. That's the biggest one.
Okay.
Like there's never enough of it. It's the biggest resource that we're always losing. We're never getting any more of.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool. Now we also, moving on to conf a bit. We hear you're going to be there.
I am.
Where can we find you? I'm hearing a bit about a verticals team.
Correct. Yep. So I recently moved over to the verticals team. So within there, I am. I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. Oh wow, she's still talking to us.
AI Fear episode. Check it out. It's terrifying.
So you can find me in the verticals pavilion area for manufacturing, retail, and resources, formerly known as the IoT team. That's where I'm at now, and so we have some cool demos that we're going to be doing over there, showing off some interesting use cases of smart meters and OT security.
Very cool.
But when in doubt, look for the gentleman with the pink beard.
Look for the pink beard.
Now, you did get a new role at Splunk under
Yep.
IoT,
Yep.
correct? Can you expand a bit upon what you guys are doing? Because IoT is such a broad term used and means a lot to different people. How are you working with IoT, and how does Splunk view IoT?
So we've kind of taken the approach of IoT being everything outside of the data center, and with that, if you take that very generalist approach, it's really abstract and kind of hard to kind of focus on. So what we've done is we've verticalized the types of use cases: communications, healthcare, public sector, and then for myself, it's basically focused in the industrial side of this. So think of factories, manufacturing, retail, natural resources, things like that.
Yeah, so a lot of the industrial use cases.
Yes.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. And you will be at Conf talking about this as well.
Most definitely.
You'll be at the barbecue pit with us.
Sure will. Yeah.
And then I hear you've done a little bit of splunking out there as well, for maybe not an industrial use case per se, but maybe a little bit more fun of a use case. What are you doing there?
So over in the Splunk backyard, where this awesome RV behind us is going to be parked, we're going to have some beer brewing going on and some beer pouring, and we're splunking all of that. We've got some barbecue pits and smokers, and we have some cool use cases going on around that. And I have built some cornhole games that are splunked.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Now, how are you doing that? Because, I mean, cornhole, right, it's corn in a bag with some pieces of plywood in a hole. That's not exactly technical.
No,
what are we doing there?
It was more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
I can imagine.
It always is.
My initial idea was, hey, I'm going to stick an accelerometer in this corn bag and capture this data. What I discovered is that when I did that, the ESP8266s that I put in there
Yes.
didn't last. Like, I'd get about 15 to 20 hits before it would break. It didn't matter what I did to try to protect it. So had to kind of punt on that aspect and say, well, that's a little bit more of a heavier industrial type equipment that I would need to put in it, and that stuff's very hard to get small, like small to fit in a cornhole bag. So instead, I rolled back to, well, what if we put the sensors on the table itself, like on the cornhole board?
Yeah.
So we're using a bunch of sensors on the cornhole board, and as far as feedback, I've also got some LEDs that we've incorporated for when you've scored or when you didn't.
Are you able to automate the actual scoring of the board?
It is. It's all in Splunk.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, wow. That's going to be
cool.
super cool. So be sure to come by Splunk Conf 2019, Hall D at the barbecue pit, or the backyard.
Yep.
Come see the RV. Come see the cornhole boards. Come play around.
Have a beer.
Have a beer. Rub a pink beard. Let's hear more about Chris's smart home then. And we're going to take a commercial break and then go dive into that Tesla a little bit. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Thank you guys so much for joining us on day 4 of Breakfast with the Beards. We're going to go for a ride right now.
Sounds good.
Thanks, you guys. See you at Conf. All right. Stop there. How do I do this? Yes. Okay.
grab the wheel, stop it.
Oh, he's gone. Wait for Brett.
Wait for me.
To Splunk's Conf 2019. Be sure to check out all of our great content at bigdatabeard.com and also follow our podcast in your favorite podcast app simply by searching Big Data Beard. This amazing adventure would not be possible without our incredible sponsors. We thank you, Dell Technologies, VMware, Red River Technologies, Arrow Electronics, and Converging Data for making the road trip to Splunk.conf 2019 possible. We'll see you down the road.